Snow is on the way, and we're gearing up for another weekend of weather alert days. I've got the newest snowfall forecast, plus where and when it'll be the heaviest.
Guilty of second-degree murder, Isaiah Ross will spend at least 20 years in prison for the killing of Devin Clark. What comes next as a mistrial is declared in the case of the second victim, Lyric Woods?
The threat of ice has kept students at home for multiple days this week. Parents are speaking out as the threat for more winter weather could cause more school disruptions.
Well, here we go. These are the numbers to keep in mind tonight. 3 to 6 inches. That's the amount of snow forecasted for most of our area this weekend. So we've got this map here for you. The light blue area showing 3 to 6 inches, but take a look at the west and east of there. Could get even more than that. And Kat, this is for tomorrow into Sunday morning.
Yes, exactly. And so we're going to be dealing with the snow really throughout much of the day Saturday, but it may come kind of on and off throughout the day. This is our WRAL forecast. We put this map together after looking at hundreds of model runs over the past week. So this is not just one model. We're going off of all of the different scenarios that are possible. And we're feeling good about our forecast for 3 to 6 inches. I want to show you why we're not going higher. So to our west and to our east, I circle the areas that are showing up with higher probabilities on the European model ensembles for 6 inches of snow or more. This doesn't mean with probabilities around 15 to 30% that nobody is going to see 6 inches or more of snow in our viewing area, because someone very well might. It just means we don't have very high confidence on which city or cities that may be in. So we're not going to bump up totals at this point, but we'll update the map tomorrow. We do know that this is going to be a fluffy snow for us, so shoveling may be easier. That may help with some of the plowing on the roads as well. Sledding, pretty good for sledding. Snowman building will be more difficult, though, since it's not as wet of a snow. A winter storm watch is in place for almost all of North Carolina. A winter storm warning will go into effect for Friday afternoon into Sunday afternoon, but that probably won't be upgraded until overnight. Futurecast shows we're dry at noon on Friday. By 5 o'clock, there could be some light snow up toward the North Carolina-Virginia border, but snow chances really start to ramp up pretty late Friday night into Saturday morning, especially after midnight. And we'll see the snow Saturday morning, but it should get heavier as we get later in the day. We're doing something different here on WRAL News at 7 o'clock. I ran you through the essentials on the forecast, but what do you want to know about this weekend's snowstorm? I will answer your questions unfiltered. Email 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Do it right now, because we're going to answer those questions coming up here in about 10 minutes.
Get your phones out, send those questions in. Yet another week of school disruptions could be on the way. Winter weather kept Wake County students at home most of this week. WRAL's Kirsten Clark joining us now live tonight outside Dillard Drive Elementary School. Kirsten, this could be a challenge for lots of Wake County families, especially just a couple of days after scrambling for childcare with the first storm.
That it could, Ashley. There's still plenty of ice here on the ground outside Dillard Drive Magnet Elementary School, and it is slippery. This is the case on many roads across Wake County, and this is why students were on a 2-hour delay today. Not long ago, Wake County Public Schools announced another 2-hour delay for tomorrow. Now, this comes after Wake County students had remote learning days on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of this week. The school system made these decisions based on the impact of the recent winter weather we saw and the continued threat of ice. Now, with the possibility of snow on the way this weekend, a spokesperson for Wake County tells us officials are monitoring the forecast and conditions, though no decisions have been made yet about what learning will look like. I spoke with a parent today who has a first and a second grader here at Dillard Drive, and she says she's already anxious just thinking about what next week could bring.
It is frightening for me, who was just, I've already missed work this week. I'm going to have to miss work next week if they're out. So I have no idea what we're doing. I have no idea what we're going to do. I don't know what my kids are going to do. I don't know if I'll have babysitters in place. And it would be nice if we could start to prepare. Maybe parents could talk to each other, but we don't get a chance to do that because the decisions are made so late.
Yeah, that Wake County Public Schools spokesperson says depending on the calendar, the school system has used 2 to 3 remote learning days so far. The state allows for 5 per school year. So this means we could see more of those remote learning days for Wake County, depending on what the weather brings. Live in Raleigh, Kirsten Clark, WRAL News.
And this is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. Parents across the viewing area getting ready to shift schedules for tomorrow because a lot of school systems are going to be closed or on delay. Take a look at the latest updated list here. Wake County, Durham public schools, and also Chatham County schools, as well as Northampton County schools, are on a 2-hour delay for tomorrow. We have remote learning days in Halifax, Granville, Orange County schools, and Mecklenburg County, Virginia, Franklin County, Warren, Vance, and Person County schools will be closed tomorrow. Should also mention that Chapel Hill, Carrboro City schools are going to be on a 2-hour delay for Friday. Looking ahead to our next winter storm, we are hearing that the NC State at Wake Forest game for Saturday was going to take place at 3:45 has been moved up to noon over worries about winter weather.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Let's get to a story happening now at 7 o'clock. The man on trial for a double murder in Orange County will spend at least 20 years in prison. Today, a jury found Isaiah Ross guilty of second-degree murder. That's for the death of 18-year-old Devin Clark. But the jury could not reach a consensus on the death of 14-year-old Lyric Woods, so her case was declared a mistrial. WRAL's Megan Cloherty was in the courtroom today. She heard the final statements from the victims' families.
An incredibly emotional day for the families of 14-year-old Lyric Woods and 18-year-old Devin Clark, who lost them 3 years ago. Then they endured this 2-week trial, all to get to today, where the jury delivered a verdict. But while there is finality for Clark's family, Lyric Woods' family still has to wait for justice.
We, the jury, unanimously found the defendant, Isaiah Ross, to be guilty of second-degree murder of Devin Clark.
Devin Clark's mother doubled over sobbing as the court learned the jury found her 18-year-old son was murdered and that Isaiah Ross did not act in self-defense in killing him.
Shattered 2 families' the entire lives. We are now left to carry the emotion mentally and spiritually.
His cousin spoke for the family about the life Devin Clark will never get to live and the immense grief felt by his loss.
There is no preparation for the silence that follows the loss of a child.
Moments before his sentencing, the judge spoke directly to Isaiah Ross, who was 17 at the time of the killings.
The actions that early morning, every one of them, have devastated and left people empty and scarred. And that will not go away, Mr. Ross. And that was because of the decisions you made.
The jury, however, was unable to come to a unanimous decision in the killing of 14-year-old Lyric Woods.
Based on all of that, I will grant the joint motion, declare mistrial as to that count.
Her murder is now considered an open case, and prosecutors tell me they'll determine if and when they want to bring charges again to find justice for Lyric. Isaiah Ross will serve anywhere between 20 and 25 years for the killing of Devin Clark. In Orange County, Megan Cloherty, WRAL News.
Now, WRAL has been covering this case since the beginning, since 2022. In that time, it led to changes to North Carolina state law. Here's a look at how we got here. Devin Clark and Lyric Woods were found dead on an ATV path in Orange County back in September 2022. 18-year-old Clark shot 5 times. 14-year-old Woods shot 4 times. A medical report showed the two were running away when they were shot. Investigators started an active search for the suspect,
offering a $10,000 cash reward for information leading to an arrest.
They said they had their eye on a 17-year-old, but because of his age, they could not say more. They couldn't even share his name.
Because the suspect in this case is a juvenile, there is very limited information that is going to be public record.
Weeks went by, a balloon release and memorial ride for the 2 teenage victims, 2 funerals, and the 17-year-old suspect remained at large. It wasn't until October that the teenage suspect was arrested, but still investigators could not share his name. In November, the case moved from juvenile court to adult superior court. The public learned the name Isaiah Ross for the first time. 2 months after Devin and Lyric died, after a weeks-long search, the suspect's face was seen for the first time in a courtroom. This all led to changes to juvenile justice rules. The legislature passed Devin and Lyric's law. It lets judges decide whether or not to release the names, photos, or any other information about juveniles suspected of violent crimes.
The welfare of the public outweighs the inconvenience that might come to the person who's committed that heinous crime.
Jump ahead to March 2025. Isaiah Ross pleads not guilty to the murder charges against him. He claims he shot Clark in self-defense, and Clark was the one who shot Woods. Fast forward to January 2026. The prosecution offered Ross a plea deal, plead guilty to 2 second-degree murder charges, and he gets up to 50 years in prison. Ross declined.
I would like to reject the offer, ma'am.
In the end, the jury found Ross guilty in the death of Devin Clark and declared a mistrial in the death of Lyric Woods. And that's how we got here.
Some breaking news now out of Washington, D.C., where Senator Chuck Schumer says there is a bipartisan deal in place to avoid a government shutdown this weekend. The deal separates Homeland Security funding from the broader spending package.
We read all the emails you send to 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Tonight, let's get to a good question we got from a viewer named Frank. He asked about a suspicious email telling him to click a link to get $2,000 from the government. He wrote, "Is there any truth to any of this, or is it just more malarkey? I could use $2,000 if it is legit." All right, so we have just the person here at WRAL to look into this. Our PolitiFact reporter, Paul Spade, did some digging for you, Frank, and I spoke to him about what he found. Paul, help us understand what this email is all about. Is it true?
Right. So it said, act now if you want to take advantage of a $2,000 Trump rebate, tariff rebate. And so that's not available yet. In short, President Donald Trump has talked about taking some of the tariff revenue that the U.S. has generated since he's enacted some new tariff policies and giving it back to Americans. That has not happened yet. It's just been talked to this point. We haven't seen any policies. The email says that revenue is live. That's not true. There's no money available at this point. And even if it were true, the email goes on to say you must act. That likely wouldn't be true either. The government typically does not rely on Americans to go through a third party to access funds. If you'll remember back during the pandemic, there were a couple stimulus checks that used people's bank accounts from old tax returns to give people direct deposits. So you wouldn't need to click on anything in an email to get any tariff rebate or dividend.
So safe to say this is bogus. Do we know who sent it?
Well, it appears to be sent by a group called Major Gross Profit. Now, I'd never heard of them. So we looked up the parent company that was listed at the bottom of the email and checked them out on the Better Business Bureau's website. And there were about 24 complaints from people saying, watch out for the spam emails. They keep coming. I didn't mean to sign up for them, and now I can't get rid of them.
Oh, boy. Okay, so here is yet another reminder. Don't click on links to text that you get in text messages. Right.
So, and we didn't do that either. So we farmed it out to a cybersecurity expert. He says, let me do it in a safe environment. He did it. If you click the link, it would take you to a website that sells gold, to invest in gold. So clearly the email is not doing or taking you to where you think it's going to go.
Oh, it just gets me so fired up, so frustrating. Thank you for looking into this for our viewer. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Let's get back to Kat now. Kat, we're all talking about the measurable snow we're expecting this weekend.
And, you know, a lot of folks that don't usually get to see the snow in our viewing area will get to see snow out of this round. The big question is now exactly how much. And we're working to pinpoint that, but generally 3 to 6 inches of snow will be possible. Temperatures are pretty steady. They've barely budged from the low 30s today. We are looking at 7 degrees to our northwest in Minneapolis. And here's the energy that's going to dive in tomorrow and develop our storm, our winter storm that's coming our way. It is starting to slowly push south, but it's really not going to ramp up until tomorrow night here locally. There could be some flurries along the North Carolina-Virginia border between about 5 and 9 p.m. tomorrow. I think the better chance for the lighter snow to move into the triangle will be 9 p.m. through about midnight, and then it's 1 to 5 a.m. that the snow becomes widespread. Travel really starts to get bad, and the snow intensity could pick up then. So if we track the snowstorm and the arrival, we've got some upper level energy, but we've also got a new area of low pressure that will develop offshore. before, and these are going to work together to bring us snow. We start to see some snow Friday night into Saturday morning. Saturday morning, it's more widespread, and then Saturday evening, as we're wedged between these two low pressure systems, we really start to see the snowfall ramp up in our area. There could be a couple of locations that see the heavier snowfall rates, and there may be some holes in between. It doesn't mean there's not going to be any snow, but it may not be as heavy in those locations. And figuring out exactly who sees the heaviest and the least heavy snowfall is going to be tricky, but generally speaking, 3 to 6 inches is a pretty good forecast for most folks. We may be able to narrow it down tomorrow where we make a couple spots, go a little higher for the snowfall forecast. We will update you. The bottom line here is that accumulating snowfall is likely, and this is for everybody. Maximum wind gusts anywhere from 30 to perhaps up to 40 miles per hour. Winds are going to be gusting. Blowing snow could reduce visibility, especially at the North Carolina coast. And for tonight in Raleigh, you can see more clouds in the area. We're looking at cold temperatures dipping down into the upper teens to lower 20s tonight. Not too different from what we've seen lately. For the high tomorrow, just 35. Things really ramp up late tomorrow night. Saturday and Sunday, hazardous travel is expected. Luckily, the snow looks light and fluffy. And I mean, there will be heavy snowfall rates, but it should be a little bit easier to snowplow and clean up as opposed to some of that heavy wet snow that we're so used to seeing here in North Carolina. Next week, high temperatures jump up a little bit closer to 40 degrees again, and we do have a small chance for some rain returning Wednesday with this system.
All right, Kat. So we want to get to a couple of follow-up questions. Earlier in the show, we asked viewers to email us what they want to know about the incoming storm. And thanks to everybody who has responded. We got quite a lot of questions for you, Kat. Lynn asks, are there any dry slots with this weather event? And if so, where?
Yes, there will likely be some drier air that shows up. We're not foreign to that concept here in North Carolina. The thing is, pinpointing exactly where they're going to be is pretty tricky at this stage. We're going to continue to do that, but there are some signs that could be close to us. The issue with these snow bands kind of move from north to south. So the way they can set up is 2 bands, and then you get a little area in between that doesn't have as much snow. But the thing about this dry slot that we're talking about, we're not forecasting no snow in the dry slot. We're just not forecasting as heavy of snow in those communities.
So everybody's going to feel it in some way or another. Yeah. All right, I'm truly checking these emails in my inbox right now. So let's get one from Catherine and David Dudley. They say, Kat, we are so sick of this bitter cold. When is it likely to warm up?
Mike Mays actually was looking into some of the long-range models earlier today, and we're looking at it, and it may not be March until temperatures are back above normal. That doesn't mean that it won't be warmer. Our normal high is closer to the low to mid 50s this time of year, so we may get back up there. Yeah. But in terms of like a prolonged pattern with above normal temperatures, it may not be until March.
Okay.
We'll keep an eye on that. Also, I went to high school with somebody named Catherine Dudley, so I really wonder if it's her. If it is, hello.
That would be amazing. And Catherine and David, get ready to just keep that parka ready, ready to go until March. Okay. Thank you, Kat, for your answers. Thanks to all for who sent in questions. Still ahead, the power of a birthday celebration. A local family discovers a way to give back after losing their little boy to cancer. How you can help too. That's tonight's One Last Thing. Tonight's One Last Thing is about birthdays, one of the most important days of the year for kids. For children battling a serious illness like cancer, those birthdays become even more meaningful. But actually celebrating can be very challenging for obvious reasons. A local family wants to help with that. They lost their little boy to cancer about a year ago. They want to help families who are experiencing now what they did then. And there's a way you can get involved too.
Timothy Stamatis had a really special 4th birthday. He loved trucks, big trucks. Timothy riding on a monster truck, smiling ear to ear.
He absolutely loved it. He talked about it even after. He was like, Mama, when am I going to get another monster truck ride?
2 months later, in March 2025, he got to see more big trucks, this time driving by in his honor. Fire trucks, part of a parade for Timothy. First responders from across Edgecombe County heard Timothy's story and answered his family's call for help. It was a good day, and it was Timothy's last day. This strong and fearless little boy died from a rare form of kidney cancer.
Timothy was a vibrant, young So that touched many lives.
To honor his legacy would mean more than the world. I think looking into the future, I'm really hoping we can help families just like us in need.
The community was there for Timothy in his final days, and now his family wants to give back. They created Timothy's Treasure Box, putting together birthday kits for children in the hospital. Cake, balloons, a present, and other goodies, making sure they get a great birthday celebration.
Birthdays to me, and I'm sure to everyone, they're huge. And they're huge, especially when your children or your child is battling cancer.
Bringing joy and taking the financial burden off of families already going through so much.
It means more than just a birthday. It's another year you get to live and get to see your family and friends.
If you're interested in helping, there's a donation page set up. You can find this story on WRAL.com, where we've got links to ways that you can get involved. Thanks for being with us here on WRAL News at 7. Good night.